Here's a second most people don't remember. Not because it wasn't important, but because it was quiet. It is the second when you realize the world doesn't look the way it used to. Maybe it happens behind the wheel. The sun is setting, traffic is light, and suddenly the headlights ahead of you stretch into long, painful streaks. You blink. You adjust your posture. You lean closer to the windshield as if that might help. Your heart tightens, not from danger, but from doubt. For the first time, driving at night feels unfamiliar, unsafe. Or maybe it happens at home. You're holding your phone, reading a message from someone you love. The words are there, but they don't feel sharp. They look soft, smudged. You rub your eyes. You blink harder. You turn on another lamp. And in that moment, a thought slips in that you don't want to face. Is this just my life now? Most seniors never talk about this moment. They laugh it off. They blame the lighting. They tell themselves it's normal, that everyone goes through this. That getting older means giving up little things, one by one, without complaint. But what if that explanation is wrong? I'm Dr. Emily-Hartwell, and for more than 20 years, I've listened to people describe this exact moment. Men and women who were told by doctors, friends, even family members that what they were experiencing was inevitable, that their eyes were simply wearing out, that nothing could be done except stronger glasses, eye drops, or waiting until things got bad enough for surgery. And every time I hear that, my stomach tightens. Because I know something most people were never told. Your eyesight is not fading because you are old. It is fading because your eyes are starving. That may sound dramatic. It may even sound offensive at first. But stay with me, because once you understand what's really happening inside your eyes, everything changes. Your eyes are not passive lenses. They are living tissue. They are metabolically active, constantly repairing, filtering, and adapting. Every second, they are exposed to light, inflammation, oxidative stress, and environmental strain. And when you are younger, your body quietly keeps up. It stores protective pigments. It repairs microscopic damage overnight. It maintains moisture and clarity without you ever noticing. But with age, that safety net weakens. According to recent health and aging reports covered widely in the news, more than 2/3 of adults over 60 experience worsening night vision, glare sensitivity, dry eyes, or fading contrast. Not because their eyes suddenly fail, but because the nutrients that once protected the retina, the macula, and the lens are no longer being stored or replaced at the same rate. Here's what no one explains clearly enough. The macula, the part of your eye responsible for sharp central vision, relies on specific pigments to protect it from light damage. The retina depends on antioxidants to defend against oxidative stress. The cornea and lens need structural support to remain clear and smooth. And all of this requires daily nourishment. When that nourishment fades, the damage doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers. Colors look duller. Lights feel harsher. Reading feels tiring. Eyes burn by evening. Night driving becomes something you avoid. Most people respond by treating the symptoms. Eye drops for dryness, brighter lamps for reading, larger fonts. Avoidance, adaptation, acceptance. But symptoms are not the disease. The real problem is depletion. I've sat across from people who felt ashamed admitting they were afraid to drive after sunset. I've spoken with grandparents who worried they wouldn't be able to read bedtime stories much longer. I've listened to individuals who felt their independence slipping away, piece by piece, while everyone around them told them to just be grateful. Grateful for fading vision? That's not aging, that's neglect, and it isn't your fault. Modern diets have quietly stripped away many of the nutrients your eyes depend on. Highly processed foods replace whole foods. Color disappears from plates, and the very pigments that once built up in your eye tissue are no longer present in sufficient amounts. This is why eye drops only soothe for minutes. This is why glasses don't fix glare. This is why so many people feel frustrated and powerless. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to. Your eyes still know how to heal. They haven't forgotten. They haven't given up. They are simply waiting for the right materials. And that's what this conversation is about. Not miracle cures, not expensive supplements, not invasive procedures, but nourishment, real nourishment, the kind that works quietly while you sleep. In a moment, I'm going to show you 3 ordinary yellow vegetables that research and real-world experience show can help replenish what aging eyes have lost. Foods that support the macula, protect the retina, and help restore comfort and clarity over time. They are not exotic. They are not expensive, and you may have walked past them 100 times without realizing what they could do for you. If you've ever felt dismissed, brushed off, or told there's nothing you can do about your eyesight, I want you to stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to learn may change the way you see your future, literally. And if preserving your vision matters to you, take a moment right now to like this video. It helps this message reach others who are quietly struggling, just like you. Before I tell you what these foods are, let me ask you something. And I want you to answer honestly, even if only to yourself. When was the last time you truly thought about feeding your eyes? Not protecting them with glasses, not soothing them with drops, but actually feeding them. Most people can't remember a time when they did. And that's not because they don't care. It's because no one ever told them their eyes were hungry. Here's what makes this so unsettling. The damage doesn't feel dramatic. There's no sharp pain, no sudden blackout, just small losses that add up. A little more glare, a little more dryness, a little more fatigue. Until one day you realize you're avoiding things you used to do without thinking. And at that point, most people believe it's too late. But it isn't. What aging eyes lose first are not function, but protection. Deep inside the eye are pigments and antioxidants that act like silent guardians. They absorb harsh light. They neutralize oxidative stress. They keep delicate retinal cells alive. And as we age, those defenses quietly drain away. So let me bring you closer to the solution. The first yellow vegetable I want you to rethink may surprise you. Not because it's rare or exotic, but because it's been underestimated for decades. Corn. Yes, corn. For years, corn has been dismissed as nothing more than a filler food, something to avoid if you're trying to eat healthy. But that reputation ignores what yellow corn actually contains. It is one of the most accessible natural sources of lutein and zeaxanthin, two carotenoids that your eyes depend on as you age. These compounds don't float aimlessly through your body. They travel directly to the macula, the part of your retina responsible for sharp central vision. Once there, they embed themselves like armor, filtering harsh blue light before it can damage sensitive cells. If you've ever noticed that screens feel more irritating than they used to, or that headlights seem harsher at night, this is part of the reason. The natural filter your eyes once had has thinned. Health news coverage of large observational studies has repeatedly shown that older adults with higher dietary intake of lutein and zeaxanthin experience better contrast sensitivity and improved visual comfort, especially in low light. Let me ask you something. Have colors ever felt duller to you lately? Less vivid than you remember? That's not nostalgia. That's physiology. I once spoke with a woman who spent her career driving a school bus. She told me that by her late 60s, she avoided dusk routes whenever possible. Headlights felt like exploding stars. After adding gently steamed yellow corn with a little olive oil to her evening meals several times a week, she said something that stayed with me. I didn't realize how tense I was until I wasn't anymore. That tension wasn't in her mind, it was in her eyes. Now, there's an important detail most people miss. Lutein and zeaxanthin are fat-soluble. Without healthy fat, your body can't absorb them properly. That means plain corn, eaten without thought, won't do much. But corn paired with olive oil, avocado, or eggs becomes something very different. It becomes nourishment. If this is new to you, I want you to pause and consider how much of what you've been told about food may be incomplete. Now let's move to the second yellow vegetable. And this one speaks directly to people who struggle with dryness, eye fatigue, and blurry vision by the end of the day. Yellow bell peppers. When most people think of vitamin C, they think of colds or immune health. But vitamin C plays a critical role in eye structure. It helps maintain collagen in the cornea and lens, the very tissues that must remain clear and smooth for light to pass through properly. As collagen weakens with age, the lens becomes cloudier. Light scatters instead of focusing. Vision loses its crispness. And suddenly, everything feels just slightly out of reach. Long-term population studies frequently mentioned in health reporting have found that older adults with higher vitamin C intake experience slower progression of age-related lens changes. This isn't about reversing damage overnight. It's about slowing decline and preserving clarity. Yellow bell peppers deliver this vitamin in a form that is easy for the body to use, without the sugar load of fruit. They also provide lutein and zeaxanthin in a highly bioavailable form. In fact, nutritional analyses show that yellow bell peppers contain significantly more usable lutein than carrots. Let me ask you something personal. Do your eyes ever feel tired before the day is even over? Do you feel like you've done nothing particularly strenuous, yet your eyes ache or burn? A retired engineer once told me that reading the newspaper gave him headaches by noon. Screens felt harsh. He added half a raw yellow bell pepper to his lunch most days, paired with a bit of healthy fat. After a few weeks, he said, "I didn't realize how much strain my eyes were under until the strain was gone." That's what happens when you support structure, not just symptoms. And now we come to the third yellow vegetable, the one most people overlook because it doesn't feel powerful enough to matter. Yellow squash. This one works differently. It doesn't shout, it soothes. Yellow squash provides beta-carotene, which your body converts into vitamin A. Vitamin A is essential for producing rhodopsin, a pigment that allows your eyes to adjust in low light. Without enough of it, night vision suffers, even if daytime vision seems fine. If you've ever thought, "I can see during the day, but nights are getting harder," this may be part of the reason. Yellow squash also offers gentle anti-inflammatory support, along with small amounts of lutein and vitamin C. And because it's soft and easy to digest, it's ideal for the evening, when your body shifts into repair mode. One woman told me her eyes burned every night. Drops barely helped. After adding steamed yellow squash to dinner a few nights a week, she noticed something subtle but profound. Her eyes felt calmer. That calm is not trivial. It's the environment healing requires. As you listen to this, I want you to ask yourself something. Which of these foods have quietly disappeared from your plate over the years? And what might your eyes be missing because of it? In the next part, I'm going to show you how to bring these foods together in a way that works with your body's natural repair cycle, without stress, without obsession, and without turning eating into a chore. Now let's talk about the part that matters most, because knowledge alone doesn't change anything unless it fits into real life. I want you to pause for a moment and think about your evenings. Not the ideal version of them, but the real ones. The nights when you're tired, when cooking feels like effort, when you just want something familiar and comforting. Any approach that only works on perfect days will never last. And your eyes don't need perfection. They need rhythm. This is where most advice fails people your age. It asks you to overhaul everything at once, to count nutrients, to follow strict plans, to treat meals like medicine. That creates stress, and stress quietly works against healing. What your eyes need is something gentler. They need consistency, timing, and enough support to do what they were designed to do while you sleep. Here's the truth most people don't realize. The eyes repair themselves at night. During sleep, inflammation calms, blood flow redistributes, and damaged cells begin their quiet work of renewal. But repair can only happen if the raw materials are already present. That's why when you eat matters almost as much as what you eat. I want you to imagine your evening meal as preparation, not effort. You're not trying to fix your eyesight in one night. You're giving your body what it needs so it can work in the background. 2 or 3 evenings a week, let yellow corn be part of your dinner. Not heavily processed, not drowned in sauces. Gently cooked, paired with a small amount of healthy fat. This allows lutein and zeaxanthin to be absorbed and delivered to the macula while you sleep. You don't need a large portion. You need repetition. On other days, bring in yellow bell peppers earlier in the day, raw if possible, sliced into a salad, added to a sandwich, eaten plain with something that contains fat. This supports the lens and cornea, helping maintain clarity and comfort through the afternoon and evening. Many people notice their eyes feel less tired by sunset when they do this consistently, and several nights a week, let yellow squash be the quiet ending to your day. Soft, warm, easy to digest. Eaten a few hours before bed, it supports night vision and helps calm irritated eye tissue. This is especially helpful if your eyes burn or ache at night. As you hear this, I want you to ask yourself a simple question. Does this feel doable? Not impressive. Not dramatic. Just doable. Because that's where healing begins. I've seen people make these changes and expect fireworks. They expect to wake up with perfect vision. And when that doesn't happen, they feel disappointed. But that's not how living tissue heals. Healing creeps in slowly, like dawn. One viewer wrote to me after following this rhythm for 3 weeks. He said, "I didn't wake up one morning and think, my eyes are better. But I realized I wasn't squinting anymore, and I hadn't used eye drops in days." That moment matters more than any promise. Let me ask you something else. Have you noticed how much effort you put into compensating for your eyes? Brighter lamps, bigger text, avoiding night driving, leaning closer. None of those restore confidence. They just help you cope. When your eyes are nourished, something deeper changes. You feel steadier, less tense, less guarded. You stop bracing yourself against light and blur. This isn't about vanity, it's about independence. Being able to read without strain, to recognize faces clearly, to drive without fear, to watch a sunset and see more than glare. If you're still listening, it tells me something important. You're not ready to accept decline as your future, and that's a powerful place to stand. I want to be clear about one thing. This is not a replacement for medical care, but it is a foundation that most people were never given. And without a foundation, nothing else holds. You don't need supplements you can't pronounce. You don't need extreme diets. You need foods your eyes recognize. Foods they evolved to use. Foods that speak the same language as your retina and macula. Now, before we end, I want you to think back to the moment we talked about at the beginning. That quiet second when you realized the world didn't look the way it used to. What if that moment wasn't the beginning of the end? What if it was simply a signal that your eyes were asking for help? If this video gave you clarity, hope, or even a small sense of control, I want you to know you're not alone. Thousands of older adults are asking the same questions you are, and they deserve answers that don't make them feel helpless. I invite you to follow this channel for more practical, compassionate videos on protecting health and independence as we age, guided by Dr. Emily-Hartwell. Together, we'll keep focusing on what still works, what still heals, and what still matters. Your eyes still want to see, and with the right support, they can.